I must regretfully betray Star Wars this evening because I want to talk about Star Trek. I'm going to be opening the Star Trek Prodigy action figures from Playmates Toys. A bit of backstory. So I grew up on Star Trek in the 1980s, Next Generation. I collected the Galoob line. Galoob line actually is one of the only action figure lines where I actually own every single one. That's not hard. I think there's only like 11, but I do have all of them. And then, like a lot of people in the 90s, I got really into the Playmates line. 5-inch figures. Love these guys. Now I obviously don't have all of these because I think there were about 300 of them, but I did have a lot. And then like 2 years ago, Playmates announced that they were going to start doing Star Trek figures again, 5-inch Star Trek figures again, and I was thrilled. Now I didn't need another Kirk or Spock or Picard or Data or whatever, which was the first wave, but for the second wave, they were like, we're going to do Star Trek Prodigy. And here's something fun about me. I think that show is terrific. It's actually my favorite Star Trek show since Deep Space Nine. It goes that far back. No shade on Lower Decks. It's real close between Lower Decks and Prodigy, but those two shows are great. So when Playmates announced that they were going to do Prodigy, I was thrilled. And then it got weird. So I guess the first wave didn't do really well, and the second wave was already in trouble before it even started to ship. It never came to Canada, at least in terms of retail. The only way to get it was by buying through online stores in the United States. And they canceled Hologram Janeway, which I only found out well after the fact. I assume it was something to do with the license or likeness rights or something. Saw some of the first wave on some shelves here in Canada, never saw the second wave. They were very expensive to ship from the States, a problem that has only gotten worse. So I kind of just, at some point last year, made the difficult decision that I was just not going to collect the Playmates Prodigy action figures. It was just going to be one of those things that kind of never happened. And then Master Replicas gets into the game. Our old friends Master Replicas, who used to do lightsabers way back in the day, now they do Star Trek stuff. And they announced last month that they're going to do 5-inch Star Trek figures, and they're, among the things they're going to start with, they're going to finish the Prodigy crew and do Rock Talk, which Playmates had never done. They'd done the other characters, and now I'm like, well, what the hell am I supposed to do? So I did the obvious. I bought the stuff I hadn't bought yet. So I got these three. I didn't actually buy Jankum Pog. Sorry to Jankum Pog. It may still happen one day. It was the least kind of appealing of the lead line of figures. These characters I adore, right? I'm a big fan of Gwyn, big fan of Dal, and I'm a big fan of Zero. Jankum just kind of couldn't justify it in terms of the price. I think these three was not cheap, so I may yet fill in Jankum, but it won't be today. I'm going to see how that Rocky figure looks when Master Replicas does finally do her. And I'm genuinely curious if Master Replica is going to do Rock Talk in her season 1 look or her season 2 look. And if she does the season 2 look, does that basically mean they're going to do the entire crew in the season 2 look, which is the Starfleet Academy uniforms? I really like those uniforms, so I might just end up buying all of these characters again, which is another reason not to buy Jankum until I'm sure which way things are going to go. Y'all know me. You probably know there's nothing I like more than the idea that a line from decades ago can continue to grow with new characters. Oh, it looks like Dal is maybe a little bit too tall. Let's find out. Dal comes with season 1 Murph, which is the blob form of Murph. There's another character that Master Replicas could theoretically do in a season 2 variation, or even late season 1 variation. I think Murph mutates at the end of season 1. He's just a solid hunk of translucent plastic, but that's basically as weirdly on model as you can get. Oh, he's got a little rubbery flex to him. Not that you can pose him or anything, but he's not solid plastic. He's slightly gooey plastic. I won't spoil Prodigy for people because I don't think enough people have watched it. I do strongly recommend you watch it. Season 1 is very much a show for children, and season 2 has a bit more of a YA vibe, but in both cases, great Star Trek. Like if you're one of those people that's like, why is Star Trek so miserable these days? Why is it so much about everyone hating each other and there being no hope in the universe and whatever? Prodigy is the antidote for that. And so is Lower Decks, the other show that I mentioned. I mean, oddly, the two animated shows are the most on model for what Star Trek was actually like. Point is, I'm not going to spoil Prodigy if you haven't watched it. This guy is the main character. His name is Dal. He is purple. Let's get him out of the plastic. You know, I got to say, one of the things that slightly softened the blow when I thought I wasn't going to be able to buy these was that they do look a little bit cheap in figure photography. Like, they look like maybe not the best plastic or whatnot. That is not the case. These are very nicely made, beautifully detailed. That is a real, I mean, like, it's not hard to get a good likeness of a CGI character because you just can use the CGI model as a starting point. But yeah, that's a great Dal. That's exactly what Dal looks like. In terms of accessories, besides Murph, he does come with, just like back in the day, he does come with the Starfleet logo. Holy shit, he comes with the Starfleet logo base plate, just like back in the day. And just like back in the day, for no reason anyone's ever been able to explain, he has a serial number on his foot. They did that back then too. Each one was individually numbered. Who knows why? And they've kept doing that. That is crazy. Okay, well done, Playmates. I'm sorry you've stopped. So yeah, he's got his base plate, and he's got what I assume are 2 phasers. I don't recall him dual wielding on the show, but it is a kid's show. Fantastic box art too. I didn't get a good shot of it before I ripped it open, but really lovely graphics. Let's look at Gwen's, for example, right? Like, look at that great character key art there. Figure is nicely centered in the card. The cards are obviously these would have looked so good on the shelf at a Toys R Us. Look at the back. Like, look at all of this. Figure bio, kind of rubbing in the whole we're not going to do Janeway thing. Kind of rubbing in the fact that they didn't do Rock Talk right there. Wow. But yeah, beautiful package. I don't keep stuff in packages, so I don't know why I'm so excited about this, but there you go. Gwen is my favorite character. For those who don't watch the show, she is played by Ella Purnell. Had the most amazing year in 2024 because she did the 2nd season of Prodigy. She did the 2nd season of Arcane, which, holy shit. And she always is on Yellow Jackets. She did the 1st season of Fallout, and she had a show from the UK called Sweet Pea. So, actually, I guess Yellow Jackets wasn't on last year, but the other 4, those all happened. What a year. Okay, Gwen is loaded up with accessories, and in classic Star Trek Playmates style, they're all one solid primary color. That amuses me to death. Once again, here's Ensign Ro. All of her stuff was just blue. All of Gwen's stuff is just gold, which is a little bit closer to reality. The what's it called? The heirloom that Gwen wields, which is this one. Which I guess these things are also part of. I don't understand how her heirloom works, but it is like an energy weapon that she manifests out of her body, and I guess it is always golden, so there is a degree of truth to this, but it is just retro enough to make me smile. Batleth, or heirloom Batleth, right on. Very tall figure, like Navi tall in scale. Let's start addressing the scale thing. So I don't know if that's actually accurate, but Gwen is substantially taller than Ensign Ro. I don't think that would be right. These are kids. I mean, they're like young teenagers. And Dal is almost as tall as Gwen. I don't think that's right either. I think Gwen is taller than him by a head, but I will check that. She's got a serial number on her foot too. This is crazy. I feel like how old was I when the Star Trek figures started coming out? I guess it was like 15 when the Playmates line started coming out. In that awkward transition from child toy collector to adult toy collector. Yeah, I may not be doing it right, but the heirloom isn't quite designed right. Like, it should just wrap around her arm, and instead they've kind of made it a sword that she holds in a hand. Which, again, not entirely screen accurate. I don't go to the Playmates Star Trek figures for screen accuracy on accessories for the aforementioned reasons, but that is a little bit disappointing. Yeah, I don't like that one as much as Dal, as much as I love the character. That's a bit disappointing as a figure, just a little bit too blocky, doesn't really pose well. And I mean, I can get deep stances, but it just sort of doesn't have Gwen's sass. And finally, Zero. Zero is a Medusan and walks around in a special biomechanical suit. With Zero, there's all kinds of room for Master Replicas to do another version because Zero has 3 other major looks, 2 different versions of the suit, and in season 2, spoiler, happens. So lots of room for Zero figures, but this one, that's a chunky, non-binary person. As with Dal, I was pretty concerned that Zero was going to be really flimsy based on the figure photography. Now, they're not like the rock solidest figure ever. Like, these pieces could definitely be a little bit firmer, but pretty good. And the posability is obviously excellent. I believe that is a sticker representing Zero's actual Medusan self inside the canister. Get ready to frighten your children. The legs come right off. I believe this is so that Zero can just be in like hovering ball mode. Yeah, flight stand, if you want to do hovering ball mode Zero. I think I'd probably prefer that Zero had their legs. Again, in classic Playmates style, monocolor accessories. These are like a blue-gray. I thought this was a desktop computer like they used to have on Next Gen, but it's not. It's like a little mechanical kit. Height check next to Dal. I think that's about correct. So maybe I'm wrong about Gwyn. Really interested now, and I should have bought Jankum, because Jankum should be like super, super short. Very interested if they did Jankum like real small. Maybe there'll be another video to go after this one. So that's my Prodigy team, my little Prodigy team. Yep, it's gonna be hard to resist getting Jankum Pog, but again, I'll wait until we see what Master Replicas has in store for us with Rock Talk before I make a decision on how I want to proceed there. But boy, I'm excited about those new. I mean, the only problem with the Master Replicas thing is that the price plus the shipping to Canada is atrocious. So I'm only gonna be able to do Prodigy figures. I can't even do Lower Decks as much as I'd like to. But yeah, those are great. These are great looking little guys. We will now return you to your regularly scheduled Star Wars programming.